Good afternoon. My name is Giselle Pyle Douglas, and the purpose of my speech is to inform you as to why it is important to bring back prayer in schools. It is my belief that prayer in school can significantly diminish the number of violent crimes as well as unwanted pregnancies, while at the same time increasing the scores of SAT and ACT exams. Just over a week ago, our country was shaken by yet another senseless shooting in one of our nation's schools, this time in South Florida. This has become an all too familiar scene to us, with this most recent one being the 18th for this year, 2018. When each incident occurs, our mind often reverberates to the cases of Sandy Hook in Connecticut, where 28 lost their lives, and Columbine in Colorado that left 15 dead, just to name a few. And although I stand with every call for prayer for these students, parents, and teachers, I cannot help but ask, why do we only pray after the fact and not before? On June 25, 1962, in a one-of-a-kind landmark decision, the Supreme Court of the United States of America ruled that prayer in our school violated the Establishment Clause of the U.S. Constitution and the First Amendment. The case was brought forth by a group of families from Long Island, New York, who believed that prayers said in school contradicted their religious beliefs. Before these rulings, children had the option to sit out on the prayer or simply stand silent. But this was not enough for these parents, who believed that it should be totally eliminated from the public school system. Now, I grew up in a school system that began each day with prayer, from elementary school all the way to high school. We were taught the importance of prayer and faith. We had schools that were targeted for each individual faith, as well as those that were open to all faiths. In those schools that were open, they would have individual prayer sessions that focused or targeted the specific faith. If you were not in agreement with the prayer, you simply was quiet and respected the beliefs of those that were engaging in the time of devotion. As children, we were never in fear for our lives in schools and had a high level of respect for each other and life itself. Prayer has been proven time and time again to help guide students to make the right decision and better choices. It is also interesting to me that there's an argument for separation of church and state, when the United States of America was founded upon the principles and values of the Christian religion. The authors of the Constitution were men who fervently studied the scriptures. John Adams, one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence, and the second President of the United States of America, based his laws and regulations on the scriptures of the Bible. Samuel Adams, another signer of the Declaration of Independence, an approver of the U.S. Constitution, and a governor of Massachusetts, often called upon his constituents to pray. In fact, the First Amendment does not actually call for the separation of God and government, but instead encourages it. It states that Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion, nor prohibiting the free exercise thereof. The Northwest Treaty, 1787 and 1789, declared that religion, morality, and knowledge, being necessary for good judgment and the happiness of mankind, schools and the means of learning shall forever be encouraged. Since the elimination of prayer in schools, morality has seen a constant decline in our school system. On the website freetopray.com, Davis Barton, who studied the statistics of schools from the 1962 ban up until 2014, noted a significant increase in teen pregnancies, violent crimes, and simultaneously a decline in SAT scores. Carol Brooks' 2017 article, Prayer in School, stated that the Supreme Court ruling eliminated the fear of God in our children. They were no longer afraid of the consequences of their actions. Thus, we saw an increase in venereal diseases, premarital sex, illiteracy, suicide, drug use, public corruption, and other social ills. Former Secretary of Education William Bennett argued that between 1960 and 1990, there was a steady decline in morality. During this time, divorce rates doubled, teen pregnancies went up 200%, teen suicides increased 300%, violent crimes went up 500%, and abortion had an increase of over 1,000%. For him, there was a direct correlation between the elimination of prayer in school and the decline in morality in our nation. I also find it very interesting that each session of Congress has been opened by prayer since its inception, which begs the question, if government can pray in their session, why can't there be prayer in government-run schools? It is often asked, why is there such a high incidence of violence in our nation's schools as compared to those of the rest of the world? When we look at the social constructs of these other countries, such as those in Europe and Asia, we see a high emphasis on prayer and unity among the students. It is crucial that prayer be reinstated in our school system. I understand that there exists a wide array of religious beliefs within our society. Therefore, we should allow for each group to have their own time of prayer. It is my belief that reconnecting our children to God will give them a greater level of self-respect and respect for others. Without a solid foundation, our nation's schools and children will be like a ship without a sail, just floating aimlessly, swaying to and fro without any real purpose or direction. It is our job as adults to direct them. And although we cannot change the past, we do have the ability to redirect their future. Thank you and have a good night.